Hi guys, it's Shamsa and welcome back to my little kitchen. Today's recipe is chicken and bhindi masala. That's right, okra and chicken curry. Now this is a typical sort of like dry fry curry, which is traditionally eaten with chapatis or rotis as we also call them. And you can have them with rice or naan, but as we were growing up, we always had these with chapatis, and it goes perfectly well with them. So before I run through the ingredients with you quickly on this amazing dish, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and show your support. Thank you so much for everyone that's actually subscribing, commenting, liking, and just enjoying them. And also turn your bell notifications on for all things cooking. Now, time to tuck into this and tell you guys exactly how it is. So I'm going to go straight in for the okra because I absolutely love okra. That masala is just absolutely wonderful. The first thing you get is a hit of the freshly squeezed lemon juice in there because that's the last thing we added, and it's absolutely wonderful. It just gives the dish a really nice, fresh, zesty sort of like tangy flavour. Spices are spot on, slightly on the spicier side. And the reason why it is that is because okra is a bland vegetable and you want to add a little bit more spice into it and bring it to life. And that's the reason why. And, you know, please try the recipe. I'm sure you're going to love it. If you do, you know, and, let me know how you find it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. So I'm going to leave you with this one, and I'll catch you soon with another one. Till then, take care and happy eating. So the ingredients you're going to need is half a kg, which is 500 grams of chicken breast fillet, which I've cubed into medium-sized pieces. I've got here 300 grams of okra, which is also known as ladyfingers, and I've just chopped them up into sort of like nice chunky pieces. Now the reason why I've kept them big is because they're going through a two-step cooking process. So if they were small pieces, then obviously they will cook faster, and you want the okra to be holding its shape once the curry's cooked, and that's 300 grams. I've got here one large onion, which I've just finely sliced. This was 300 grams in weight. And I've got here 3 fresh tomatoes, which I've roughly chopped up. These were approximately 280 grams in weight. Now, can I just mention, if your tomatoes or your onions or your okra are just slightly over by 10, 15, 20 grams, please don't worry. It doesn't alter the taste or the end product once it's finished. So just go ahead and just add them in. I have a lot of people that ask me, you know, they're slightly over, should I add it in or not? Please do. 10, 15, 20 grams do not really make a difference, especially with the tomatoes and onions and things like that. So I've got here half a cup of oil, which is approximately 120 millilitres. And I've also got here some spices, which are as follows. I've got 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I've got 2 teaspoons of coriander powder and Kashmiri chilli powder, which adds a really nice flavour and colour, but not the heat. Then I have half a teaspoon of regular chilli powder and turmeric powder, and I have the following whole spices. I've got 4 dried Kashmiri chillies here. Now you can leave them out if you don't have them. They do add a really nice mild heat to the dish, and also they're beautiful in contrasting colour once the curry's cooked, and I just add them in for presentation purposes. I've got here 1 cinnamon stick roughly the size of my thumb, and I have 2 green cardamom pods and 1 black cardamom pod. I've got here 2 bay leaves, and I have a frozen piece of ginger and garlic here. Now if you don't have these cubes, then just substitute each cube by using 1 whole tablespoon of the paste or puree. I've got here half a tablespoon of homemade garam masala, which I'll leave a link in the description box should you need it. And we also need the juice of 1 lemon, and we've got fresh coriander to garnish right at the end. And I also have water to use as and when we need to. So let's start cooking. Right, okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fry our okra. Now, as you know, okra is quite slimy when you cut it, and that's the reason why we're going to be frying it first of all. So I've got my pan here, and I'm going to turn my heat setting up to 9, which is the highest heat setting for my hob. And I'm just going to add around a tablespoon of oil into that. And then we're going to add the okra in, and we're going to fry this for about 5 to 6 minutes on high heat, just stirring it, and just keep the okra moving around. And after 5 to 6 minutes, we're just going to set it aside, and I'll show you how it looks once it's done. Right, so it's been around 6 minutes. I've been frying the okra, and that's how it looks. And all we're going to do now is we're going to turn our hob off and remove it from the heat and just set that aside. Right, I've got my pot here and my heat setting is currently on an 8, and I'm just going to turn it down to a 6, and I'm going to add the oil straight in first of all and just give that a couple of seconds just to heat up. And then I'm going to add the whole spices in, just give them a stir, and then straight in with the onions, and we're going to fry them until they're nice and golden brown in colour, and that should take approximately 6 to 8 minutes. I'm just going to turn my heat setting up to a 7, which is a medium heat setting for my hob, and I'll show you how they look once they're done. Right, okay, so my onions are nicely golden brown, and I'm just going to add a splash of water into this just to stop them cooking any further. Just turn my heat setting down as well. And now I'm going to add my tomatoes in, my ginger and garlic, and my spices, and just give that a mix. And I'm just going to turn my hob up. So I'm going to turn it up to full whack, which is 9. Right, okay, so now that this is coming up to temperature, what we're going to do is we're going to pop the lid on, and we're going to turn our heat setting down to a 6, and we're going to allow this to cook away for approximately 6 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes, just to allow the tomatoes to soften up and also the onions to break down even more. And I'm going to give it the occasional stir in between that 6 to 8 minute timer, and I'll show you how it looks once it's done. Right, okay, so it's been around 8 minutes that the masala has been cooking away, and you can see that the tomatoes have broken down really nicely, and I did help them a little, and all I do is just use my sort of like silicone spatula, and I do actually press them down just to help them sort of like a little bit. And I've just turned my heat setting down as well because it was just steaming the camera over, and now I'm just going to add my chicken in, and at the same time I'm also going to add half a cup of boiled kettle water in, so approximately 120 milliliters, and I'm going to turn my heat setting up now to full power, which is a 9. Right, okay, so that's now come up to temperature nicely. I'm going to pop the lid on, and I've got my hob setting on 6, which is a medium heat setting for my hob, and we're going to allow this just to cook away. Don't need to stir it. It's got enough water moisture in there. The chicken will also sort of like release its own natural sort of like moisture, and we're going to allow it to cook away for 6 minutes, and after 6 minutes I'll show you what to do next. Right, okay guys, coming back to this, I'm just going to remove the lid to show you, and it's been about 6 minutes that this has been cooking away, so just give it a stir. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be starting the boning process, and we're going to cook this further to develop its flavour. So the heat setting is currently on a 6, and I'm going to turn it up to a 7, just one little notch up. And all we're going to be doing is we're just going to be stirring this every so often, and just allowing the water, the moisture that's in there, to sort of like evaporate completely. And I'll show you how it looks once it's done. It's going to take approximately 8 to 10 minutes. So you don't need to add any more water into this. It's got plenty of water in there, and I'll show you how it looks once it's done. Right, okay, so it's been around 9 to 10 minutes that I've been boning the chicken, and you can see that the water, the moisture that was in there has evaporated. The oil has started to separate and come around the surface and the edges as well. And now at this stage, what we want to do is we want to add our okra in, and we're going to cook the chicken and the okra together now. Again, we're going to do the boning process again, and my heat setting, I just turned it down because it was steaming the camera over. I'm just going to turn it up to a 6, and now we're going to do the boning of the okra with the chicken and the masala. So we're going to do that for around 5 to 6 minutes, and just keep sort of like the okra moving, and sort of like 6 minutes later I'll show you what you need to do next. Right, okay, so now that the okra has been cooking away with the masala and the chicken, all we're going to do now is we're going to pop the lid on, and we're going to turn our hob down to a 2, which is a low heat setting for my hob, and we're just going to let this steam away, and also at the same time sort of like cook through. So the okra is more or less cooked, but whatever little bit that's remaining that's not cooked, we're going to let that sort of like steam away. So we're going to put it on dum, that's what we call it. So we're going to do that for approximately 4 to 5 minutes, just on a low heat setting. Don't need to touch it, don't need to do anything to it, and that will just ensure that the okra is fully cooked but still holding its shape, because if we just keep moving it around constantly, obviously it will break, and you don't want that. You want it to be holding its shape. So I'll see you guys back in approximately 4 to 5 minutes time, and then we'll finish the dish off. Right, okay, so it's been 6 minutes that the curry has been on dum. I'm just gonna finish it off now. Looks and smells amazing. And first of all, to finish it off, we're going to be going straight in with our homemade garam masala, just like that. And then I've squeezed my lemon juice out and taken the pips out as well. Straight in, just give that a mix. And again, you want to add these two things right at the end, and then just give it a mix. And now all we need to do, turn our hob off, and the last ingredient is just fresh coriander right on top like that. And there you have it, guys. My chicken and bhindi masala is all ready. Please try the recipe out.